What's up, everyone? This is Mayan Gordon. We are coming to you live at 5 again, streaming to LinkedIn. What's up, LinkedIn crowd? YouTube, how's it going, my YouTubers? And Facebook, my Facebook homies. You guys know what to do. Post in the comments what's one thing you're grateful from and where in the world are you watching from? As usual, per usual these days with coronavirus, I'm coming to you live from Spokane, Washington. Hopefully things start to clear up here. This whole pandemic, this whole virus gets under control, and then I can come to you guys from all different places over the world. I've got a travel trailer that I bought because I love to travel. We go to Las Vegas several times a year, usually Colorado, where my brother lives, in Boulder, all over the place. You guys, I love to travel. Let me know, do you guys like to travel too? And today I wanted to share with you guys just a little bit of story of kind of my past and where I come from, because my husband Ben reminded me as he was talking to me about kind of his perception of my own journey and my growth. And he's so wonderful. He was telling me how kind of proud he is of me for coming this far and how well I do now on these networking calls that I have, because he brought up, he says, do you remember when we were doing our diffuser beads business, which was our first business that we started together? He said, do you remember when people used to call your cell phone? Because I had my cell phone on our business cards. I had my cell phone on our Instagram account. He said, remember how scared you used to be to pick up the phone? And how scared I used to be was literally when the phone would ring, I would get terrified, my heart would start palpitating, and I would think about answering the phone. I would want to answer the phone. I would want to be there for my family, make that sale, answer that call. But I was so terrified, I would think about it and chicken out and go, Ben, could you please, please, please answer this phone call for me? Even though I know Ben didn't like to answer the phone call either, I just could not bring myself to answering these phone calls because, you guys, I used to be terrified of people. Now, why was I terrified of people? One, because I wasn't very comfortable with who I was. I didn't feel great about myself in general. But two, I grew up in an environment where I had constant messaging of be scared of strangers. Don't let strange men talk to you. And I grew up hearing these mantras and these words for years and years and years. And they were burned into my brain and into my psyche. Now, in my heart, they were burned into my head, I should say, burned into my brain. They were certainly not burned into my heart, because I think the human heart in general knows that people are good. And I've always known that I wanted to connect deeply with people, and that to do that, I had to overcome this immense fear I had that people were out to get me, that they wanted to make fun of me, that they wanted to hurt me, whether it was physically or emotionally. And I knew that the only way that I was going to overcome that was through a massive amount of action and exposure in those scenarios. And that's actually what prompted me very early on, when I started my very first company, to start going to trade shows. You guys, I was so terrified of the trade show environment. All these people who were looking at me, who were watching me, who were going to come up and say hi to me, that terrified the living crap out of me, to the point where on the way to trade shows, on the way to the airport to leave from Seattle, just to go to the city where the trade show was, I would start to feel very, very nervous, to the point where it felt like I had to go to the bathroom. You guys know what I'm talking about. And I would start getting all these thoughts playing in my head of, this bad thing's going to happen. This bad thing's going to happen. This bad thing's going to happen. You should be scared. You should be scared. This isn't going to go well. You thought this was a good idea. It's not a good idea. Turn back, change it, cancel the plans. And I knew that I had to just keep going through these circumstances where, through the actual experience, I was going to see, hey, nothing bad actually happened. In fact, I knew that once I could get to the trade show, no matter how nervous I felt, no matter how scared I was, up to the moment of someone saying hi to me, once I could get past the first hi, hello, how's it going, I actually really enjoyed talking to people. It was just everything in my head that would lead up to talking to people that terrified me, that came from my own mind, that came from my own thoughts. And I knew that those thoughts weren't real. I knew that people were awesome. I saw all these great friendships that people had formed. I saw all of the connection that people and human beings had the ability to create. And I knew that that was something for me too. I knew that that was going to be part of my life. And so I said, you know what? I am going to force myself into these situations where I prove to my brain, which is in control and trying to tell me all these things, I'm going to give it the proof that it needs to believe that people are good, to believe that interacting with people is fun. And, I would say that even now, 10 years later, 10 years after I've started going to trade shows, I'm still not 100% of the way there. There's still times before I'm on a conference call or before it's my turn to ask a question in a meeting where I start to get nervous, where I start to think, hey, maybe people won't like me. Hey, maybe I'm going to sound stupid or scared or not the way that I authentically feel when I present myself, when I ask this question. But it's way further and farther in between. And it's also much more subtle. It's not an overwhelming feeling that I feel anymore. And I have a much better control and sense that that's not true. Hey, Mayan, you're going to crush it. People love you. You've got great energy. Just remember the value that you're here to give to people. And it really started with that thought of, I'm here with the intention to provide value. Mayan, no one's going to make fun of you. No one's going to hate on you because all you want to do is make them happy. No one hates anyone else who wants to make them happy. That's not logical. And I just started with that thought and forced myself into the action of interacting with people. And I think this is really the way to overcome any fear that you realize is standing in the way of the person that you want to be, is to say, how can I attack that fear with action? And how can I put myself in a position where I'm going to follow through with those actions? Because the consequences of not following through would be disastrous. And that's what trade shows really did for me. I had to spend a lot of money to get the trade show booth, to fly out to a trade show. I think our average cost for attending a trade show was somewhere between $5,000 and $10,000 per show in terms of us just being able to go there. I was not in a position to chicken out after spending $5,000 on an opportunity. So I simply was not going to allow myself to do so, no matter how terrifying it felt, no matter how hard it was emotionally to get myself to go to the trade show. You guys, even once I was there in the city, Las Vegas tended to be the city, although we did trade shows in Atlantic City, Denver, Colorado, Santa Monica, California, been in trade shows around the country, that even once I was there and having a good time in a new city, the day of the show, those thoughts would play again in my head. Hey, and they would look like this. Hey, Ben could do the show. You don't have to go. Make Ben do it. Why don't you just hang out in the hotel room where you feel safe, where you don't have to feel these uncomfortable emotions, this fear around people? And I said, that is not acceptable. That is not an option. Now, part of how I was able to do that, again, was consequences. I've always been better at selling product than Ben has. Thank God. Because if he'd been better than me, I think I would have let that voice win. I would have said, you know what? He's better at making sales anyways. So might as well stay back. There's no real consequence. But I knew if I didn't go to the show, we would not make as much money. And, we came from a homeless situation. We came from a situation where we had $15,000 in IRS penalties from our first year of starting business, and me being financially uneducated about paying taxes when I was 19 and 20 years old. I knew that I had to show up and I had to perform for the success and health of my family. And that was always something that really pushed me to go forward. And so I think if you guys can find whatever it is that matters to you, that you're really willing to fight and die for, that thing where you can think in your heart, there is nothing that's going to stop me from wanting to provide. There's nothing that's going to stop me from accomplishing this goal because it means so much more to me than I mean to me. And for me, that was family. And I always thought about in those situations, it's my responsibility to get my family out of this bad situation. I'm not going to rely on my husband to do it. This is my responsibility. I have to take action and I have to take the situation into my own hands. Otherwise, how can I ever look at my partner in the eyes and say that I did enough, that I tried my hardest? It's okay if you try your hardest and it's not good enough the first time, because your hardest and your best efforts will always be good enough in the end. Sometimes it takes a long time to get there, but I can promise you guys, if you really try your best, if you face your fears, if you take action in the face of your fears, you will overcome every single obstacle that ever comes in your path, both emotional, physical, and otherwise. So that's really just the story and the message that I wanted to share with you guys. I know I come on here, I've got this awesome energy now. What's good? But I didn't start out this way. In fact, my energy used to be terrible. That's probably why my life was kind of terrible, is because inside I was scared. I didn't know how to connect. I didn't know how to form deep, meaningful relationships, because honestly, I hadn't formed a deep and meaningful relationship with myself or with my husband. Now that I've done 10 years of work to finally, you guys, this is the first year for the first time in my life where I really feel all powerful, all in control, full of optimism, full of hope, full of high energy that is so true to my heart and soul and not faked in any way at all. Boy, am I thankful. I don't care how long it took me to get here. I get to live the rest of my life in this amazing space with this amazing energy and surrounded by amazing people that I'm able to connect with now on a level that honestly I couldn't even imagine before. Something that I hoped and I dreamed was true. I hoped and dreamed would be real for me. And now it finally is. And I'm here to share that with you guys so that if there's something in your heart that you want, that you believe is going to be part of your life, do not give up on it. Never let anything get in your way or stop you from taking the actions that you know you need to take to achieve that goal and to make that reality true for yourself. I hope you guys got some value out of this. If you did, please tag someone in the comments, share it to your network. I'm here to really try and inspire, try and motivate you guys to believe in yourselves. You guys, I believe in you. And the reason I believe in you is because I think each and every one of you has more potential than I will ever have. I think all of us has an infinite potential to achieve not only our own dreams, but help achieve the dreams of everyone else in our lives that we touch and surround ourselves with. So just know that there are people who see in you maybe something you don't see yet, and that potential is so much there. All you have to do is take action to unlock it. I hope you guys join me again tomorrow night where I get to share some more insights. We're going to have a couple really amazing guests coming on soon, and enjoy the rest of your night to the fullest. Make sure you give gratitude and appreciation to your family and all the other people who are in your life.